not pop in to the meeting. Is there someone who's willing to take the minutes
I can
for
do
this
it.
meeting? You can, Jocelyn, did you say that?
Yep.
Thank you.
I'll just open a Word document right here on my other screen.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, folks, you can begin. We're recording and we are live on YouTube.
All right, thank you, Deborah. This open meeting of the Board of Library Trustees is being conducted remotely, consistent with Governor Baker's executive order of March 12th, 2020, due to the current state of emergency in the Commonwealth due to the outbreak of the COVID-19 virus. In order to mitigate the transmission of the COVID-19 virus, the town of Northborough has been advised and directed by the Commonwealth to suspend public gatherings, and as such, the governor's order suspends the requirement of the open meeting law to have all meetings in a publicly accessible physical location. All members of the Board of Library Trustees are allowed and encouraged to participate remotely. The order allows the Board of Library Trustees to meet entirely remotely so long as reasonable public access is afforded so that the public can follow along with the deliberations of the meeting. The public is encouraged to follow along using the posted agenda unless the chair notes otherwise. Members of the public who wish to view the live stream of this meeting may do so by going to Northborough Remote Meetings on YouTube via the link listed on the agenda. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless such participation is required by law. This meeting will not feature public comment. Members, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative that you are present. Mitch Cohen.
Mitch Cohen, I am present.
Jim Hogan is not here. Hamilton Soriano is not here. Nita Karanjkar.
Hi, Nita Karanjkar, I'm here.
Jocelyn McHeleny.
Jocelyn McKelney, present.
Charles Recchia.
Charles Recchia here.
Joan Scott.
Joan Scott, present.
Richard Tucker.
Richard Tucker, present.
Michelle Rehill is present. We are also joined by Bernie Lynch, who is guiding us through this process of selecting a library director. Hello, Bernie.
Hello. Hello to all.
And our host for this evening is Deborah Hirsch. And I believe that I see Jim Hogan coming into the meeting.
Oh, good.
That is correct. Jim should be here momentarily. There he is.
All right, Jim, for tonight's meeting, can you unmute yourself? And we're going to leave everyone unmute for the duration because I want us to have more of a conversation tonight, I believe. Would you agree with that, Bernie?
Yes, I would.
Okay, thank you. All right. So, Jim Hogan, are you present?
Jim Hogan is present.
Hooray. Thank you, Jim. So glad you're here.
Me too.
Oh, all right. Since it is after the hour of 5 p.m., it is technically 5:06 p.m., I call this meeting to order. And I have no other opening remarks except that we will now, with Bernie's help, have a discussion of the candidates that we interviewed and make our selection for the library director of the Northborough Free Library. Where do we start, Bernie?
Well, what I might suggest is this is always a challenging. How do we get this started? What I might suggest is that you go around and have each member, give their thoughts regarding the candidates. Stressing, I always try to encourage that we stress the positives that we see in each of the candidates, and then the question really becomes one of. And I guess I would say that, and then what we could do is if someone wants to put all three names into nomination at the conclusion of that, and then you just do a roll call vote of who each one chooses. How does that sound? The other option is you could go around and say what you have to say, and then each member could indicate who they are leaning towards. But you want to be able to say that there's just, I think you'd like to be able to say that you heard each other before you actually make a decision.
Okay. All right. Then,
Can we ask a question before we do that?
Sure.
I have a question that I'd like cleared up before I give my opinion.
Sure.
Okay, I guess this is to Mitch, Michelle, and to Bernie. I'd like to know what the true story on Sandra's leaving Leominster with some idea that it had something to do with disability with the new trustees or something, couldn't get along. Is that true? I mean, that was a statement in something that I read earlier on that you provided, Bernie. And I've never really gotten, is it something serious? Was it a real split or something we should know if it was?
Right. This is, and this is the explanation that everyone that I've spoken to has indicated is that there was a changeover in the trustees, and the trustees that she was hired by had, keep in mind, this is in a city form of government. The trustees are appointed by the mayor, and there can be a change, and several members had decided to leave the Board of Trustees. The mayor chose other members to come in, and the direction that they wanted to take the library was different than the direction that the trustees that had hired her, that had put together the strategic plan, had had with her. So it came down to some, different perspectives on the roles of the trustees versus the director, with regards to day-to-day management, and also just sort of the direction of the library overall and what the library is. One of the great challenges in the library world now is that most people see libraries as being more than just a place where books are held, that there are actually programs and there's community engagement that takes place in library facilities. And that was a direction that certainly Sandra was supportive of, and the library trustees were supportive of in their strategic plan. And that may have changed with the new trustees. But the references that we have from all of the people that we've spoken to at Oak Bluffs, Worcester, and Leominster were all very positive.
Thank you.
Does anybody have any other questions before we start with our comments? If not, I'm going to go. Jim?
With all due respect, I'm not sure that for me answers Richard's question. And Joan had posed the same question at our previous meeting. I'm still a little bit.
But if I may, there is an option for you in this case, and that is, if you should have. This is why you have the ability to to make a vote on the appointment of this position. And very frankly, this is why I indicated that my availability to have these discussions offline.
Okay. So if it's all right with the board, I'm going to use the attendee sheet to go around and have people make comments about the candidates, express your opinion. And I think, again, looking toward the positive, but certainly, whatever thoughts you have. So I'm putting you in the hot seat, Mitch.
Okay.
I'm going to have you start.
I'm standing. Can I be in the hot seat still?
All right, I'll put you on the hot feet.
Hot seat.
How's
Okay.
that?
Sure. So I'll go through some of my notes in the order that we interviewed them. Sandra first, Sandra Murphy. I thought she was very smart, a lot of good experience. I didn't hold the sort of multiple positions against her that she's had. I think, people change jobs for a number of reasons. She was pretty nerdy, which I like. I would say that's about my summary for her. Moving on to Jennifer Inglis, again, in the order that we did the interviews. I really, really liked her. Clearly she loves libraries. There was a lot of energy there. I happened to have been to the Nahant Library several years ago and really liked what was going on there. Some of the programs that she's worked on happen to be things that I'm familiar with. She's doing a program with a graphic novel called Guts from Marina Telgemeier. My kids are huge fans. We've met her and so forth. She's done some good fundraising things, and she seems to really be on track with budget. Moving on to Jennifer Bruno, I loved her even more. I found that she had just a lot of love for libraries and the job. She was the only one of the three that I felt really applied to our library because she wanted to really, really work at our library. She was familiar with some of our policies that she made mention about privacy and diversity and things like that, which I really appreciate. It did not seem to me that she was simply job hunting and applying to things that were in a convenient geographic area, which I think was probably the case with the other two. And again, there's nothing wrong with that at all. I don't mark that against, but I really felt that Jennifer Bruno brought just a little bit more in terms of her strength as far as how much she really wanted to work with us and seemed like a very, very good match for us. I like the fact that she started a lot of her comments sort of very kind of high-minded, a little lofty goals, and then all of a sudden got into the weeds very quickly. And I really liked that she seemed to have a grasp at both ends. I liked one of the other things she made mention of is developing a technology plan to replace technology before things are completely outdated, which is something that we've struggled to try to put together here in Northborough. I could probably come up with a couple of other things here and there as discussion pops in. I'm happy to offer any other comments. I'd say that concludes my initial thoughts on the three.
All right, thank you.
Sure.
Jim Hogan, your turn.
Okay, Sandra would be my third choice. So I'm still a little concerned about the Leominster issue. And there was something about her that it just didn't strike me. I don't know. It's hard to put. But anyway, she's my third choice. Jennifer Inglis, I liked her quite a bit. I thought her email thanking us for the meeting addressed an issue that I had made and put in my notes about her relationship with staff. And I thought that while it is true that a director will deal with different staff in different ways, it's also true that all staff participate fully in the running of a library, especially a library of our size. And a director should be spending pretty much equal amounts of time with all of the staff in terms of mentoring them and encouraging them and helping them do their jobs even better. So that was one thing that she had said that I picked up on in my notes, but she did address that in her email. So I liked her quite a bit. Jennifer Bruno, I really, really liked. I thought that she's been in our neighboring town of Boylston, and she's done obviously a very good job there. They clearly don't want to lose her, but they clearly understand that she's the kind of person who is going to move to a larger setting at some point. One thing I really liked about her was that while she is in a relatively small library, she seemed to be very well connected to the town and to other elements within the town. And I thought that's certainly a very strong suit. But she also was very involved professionally. And I thought that her work with the New England Library Association, serving as president and serving as past president, and I thought that the founder of the library management group, et cetera, I thought that spoke a lot about her ability to, while working in a relatively smaller library, still keep herself in the center of the library world, at least in the state of Massachusetts. So I know Bernie talked about ranking, and we'll get to that, I'm sure, but Jennifer Bruno was my first choice. But Jennifer Ingles, I could go with her as well. I'm still not all that.
There's no need to rank. Just when you get to
Okay.
the vote, you just
Got
say,
it. Okay.
this is who I want.
There we go.
Okay, thank you. Next up, Nita.
Okay. So I'll go with the first with the Sandra. I really liked her because she had more energy to it. The way she had done whatever in the Leominster Library, whether it's a social media, going online format, right now with the COVID situation, we might end up going online for more time. We might use her ideas, her fundraising ideas. So I liked her. And much of the professionalism I saw when she was speaking highly about herself and the libraries where she worked. Second candidate, Jennifer Inglis. So yes, she was again very energetic lady. I liked her. She tried to be, doing a lot of fundraising and going with the staff, technical terms, and part of being MBLC is a big, huge thing for me as well. Jennifer Bruno, again, this would be my first choice. I liked her for many reasons. First, she spoke about herself, why she applied. So the truth was there from the beginning. She's being the next neighboring town. She knows our town very well. She wants to make a smaller library. What she did in Boylston, she changed into some, loving community as a library whole. And I believe what we are looking as a, library director here could be the same quality what we want. We want our community to be together. So I see that more in her. So that would be my first choice going forward. Other than that, for Sandra, again, I'm hearing the same concern from, because she had something with her previous job, but I believe that's her truthfulness. She's saying what is there, she's not hiding anything. So that's a positive. I take it from that situation. Uh, Again, moving from one job to another, it's common nowadays. So I don't see anything, negative in that. But saying it loud and telling people why it happened is a bigger responsibility she's taking herself. So I give her, plus on that as well. Uh, and that's all I have.
All right, thank you. Jocelyn?
Michelle, it feels like, I could go into a lot of the same detail that, the other trustees here have. I feel that each of the candidates has experience that would work well for the library. All of the candidates, have something they can bring to it. Like Mitch pointed out, the nerdiness in them speaks to me as, an early reader, a book lover. There's just something about a library, and you could tell that each of the three candidates had something that drew them to this work and has kept them there over the years. The differentiators between them, while she did have a lot of technical experience, there were some comments that Sandra had made in answer to some of Bernie's questions that just kind of struck me a little off, a little odd, which, made that a little bit of a difficult choice. Jennifer Inglis, she has moved around quite a bit, but for reasons that were very apparent. She definitely had an answer for each one of her jumps. And as someone who has changed jobs a lot for a lot of different reasons, there's also great experience that you can pull from having worked in a lot of different environments that are different from each other. But with Jennifer Bruno, her experience in Boylston being a very similar community and the connectedness that she has within the library community appeared from the interview to be much deeper than the other two candidates had brought. And if we're really looking for someone who is going to be able to come in with experience on day one and also bring us forward and make us better in the future, that feels like the kind of community building and networking that would be really beneficial to our library for a number of reasons, not just for our library in and of itself, but our library within the community here in Northborough. Having so much experience working in that space, I think would be pretty beneficial to us.
All right, thank you. Charles?
Yeah, hi. So, addressing them in the order we interviewed them. So Sandra had good enthusiasm. When I look at all three of the candidates and what we had listed as ideal candidate, I think they all meet those bullets to different degrees. I think Sandra, if we extended her off, she'd do fine if she accepted. I think, the thank you note that she sent to the trustees for the interview, I really like that. I think she has a good background. I think she'd be a fine fit for Northborough. Moving on to Jennifer Inglis, I like some of the ideas she had. She mentioned the idea of a podcast. I like that she had a question for us. To me, that's important that she was interviewing us as well as us, her. Again, I thought her thank you note to the trustees for the interview was quite well written. And finally, Jennifer Bruno, one of the things I really liked about her was her mentioning of, having a customer service outlook. Also appreciated her comments on, diversity of thought, wanting a staff where not everyone is carbon copies of each other. So yeah, I actually thought all three candidates were very strong. And it was difficult for me to really even or rank order them. So.
Okay. Thank you, Charles. Joan, you're up.
Okay, starting with Sandra. I thought she had a good variety of experience that she was bringing. She had some of the international experience, which was a little bit different for Northborough. She also, some of her volunteer experience where she worked with people with disabilities. I thought that was interesting. She has a lot of strength in technology and youth services. So I thought she brought some things to the table that were a little different, perhaps, than some of the other candidates. As far as Jennifer Inglis, she brought, I thought, a lot of experience that I felt related very much to the Northborough community and where we are today. Let me just look at my notes. She had a very broad background in terms of her experience. She brings actually starting as a high school teacher, so she knows that constituency a little bit. Pretty much worked in every area in a library and every variation from a smaller library to a larger library in Boston. She's also had a lot of involvement with the MBLC, so she's worked with libraries on the state level. She's had some experience working on reopening during the pandemic. Thought she had a very strong experience in terms of her financial background. She's worked on a lot of grants. She's done fundraising from the community. Seemed very focused on community engagement as well. Also had a lot of building experience in terms of, she said she even worked with FEMA and MEMA, looking at disaster recovery programs, as well as working on several library renovations. I thought her vision of the library was pretty consistent with what we were looking for in Northborough. She talked about being concerned that people might lose some interest in the library during the pandemic, and so she seemed to be very much focused on ways to get the community engaged. Again, a lot of collaboration with other librarians. Jennifer Bruno. Again, had a lot of great experience, a lot of positive comments from the references. She's gone from a bigger urban setting to the small town. My sense, though, is that she has not had the breadth of experience as the other two candidates, and a lot of, I'm not quite sure on the size of the Boylston Library, but my impression was that it was pretty small, smaller than the Northborough Library, and that she just may not, that she may be used to doing a lot more of kind of a one-person show, as opposed to somebody who has to get a lot of different groups working together. Obviously, she's very pro-library with all her work on the state level, which was very impressive. And seemed to get a lot of comments for her people skills. So I think that's kind of sums up some of my comments on them, candidates.
Okay, thank you. Richard, your turn.
Well, I have having asked that question about Sandra, and I think the fact that she's coming from a larger library, I would assume Leominster is larger in some respects, many respects. That would be a bonus. That would be a good thing to have somebody who's led a larger organization than Northrop. I like the fact that she was very out of the box on a lot of things. You know, talking about the what was it, the police cars and fire trucks for the kids, and she had a lot of vision and ideas and programming. I like the fact that she increased her budget. I mean, I'm the one who yells about that we don't get our fair shake from the town, and I'd like to see a librarian who will go to bat and take on the town and say, I want to increase the budget for this and that. She increased the budget for professional development. I give her a high mark for that. She had some ideas like website donations for, I don't know if that's a good idea or not, but she's thought about it. But what I really liked about her, and I have to, you know, maybe this is because I've seen so many witnesses in my life and I'm judging her as a witness, but she was straightforward. She didn't delay between the question and the answer. She had the answer ready, and I was very impressed with that. The person who I liked almost as much as Sandra was Jennifer Bruno. She was a very likable person. She had a lot of energy, it seemed, and although I took less notes on the third person than I did on the first person, I wrote down very strong and great organizer, good organizer. I underscored that. So I rated her almost similarly to Sandra. Now Jennifer Inglis, like we've all said, all three could are qualified for this position and could be chosen without any problems. She was very good in a lot of things. I wrote down something I didn't like. She said, I don't come up with my own ideas, I borrow them. I don't know whether that was just a quip that maybe she'd like to take back, you know, but I didn't think that was a great talent to just take from others. But, you know, like I said, I'm not giving her negatives. She's very qualified, but she was probably my third choice.
Okay. That brings it around to me then. Again, all three of the candidates, well qualified, a broad array of experiences. With Sandra, I thought that she was wonderfully geeky. She really did know, you know, like she knows her mind about the library and, you know, certain aspects of it and how she would go about things. I thought for Jennifer Inglis, she had a ton of energy. She just seems to, but in a kind of a laid back way, energetic, but laid back. And I really appreciated that one of the comments that she made was, even if we did not hire her, if we wanted to reach out to her for some help on how to reopen, she would be happy to give us some advice and work with us, which I thought was extremely generous. And for Jennifer Bruno, she works locally. She is in a smaller library, but she seemed to me to have everything together. And the things that she talked about that really, really stuck out for me. One was the work that she's been doing to ensure the safety of her staff And when, we asked about the vision of the library in the future and so forth, she went right to I think that we're okay for the next fiscal year, but we're really going to need to work and advocate for the libraries, for, at the local, state, and federal level. This is going to be a serious problem. And so she's already thinking about the, 2-3 years down the road and what the impact will be. And those were things that, I said, everybody had great ideas. Everybody had a vision. But there was something about Jennifer's idea of, we need to be looking at this because we're going to be in trouble if we don't. That really, I thought, was important. And it kind of goes back to something Richard said was, demanding our fair share. And she definitely, to me, had that mindset of, I want to work on this. I will work to do this at any level that I need to, in any way that I need to. And again, that was for me, that little budget piece. And again, the safety of the staff and thinking about the staff and getting the public back into the library and doing it safely, and having a plan for that. So those are my comments. Yep.
So at this point, I think as I say, you could put all in, or someone could make a motion for one of the candidates, and someone could second it, and you could have a vote on that person, and go from there. You have really two different options here, whichever you feel most comfortable with.
I do have a question. Do we need to be unanimous in our decision or just a majority?
You need to be a majority for the individual. And what I would recommend is that once it's done, that you have one candidate that has a majority of the votes, that you then make it unanimous.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
All right.
Michelle, before you asked for a vote, I thought of something that I wanted to say since I started off the commentary, which is anytime I'm on a screening committee, I'm only comfortable putting people forward that I would be very, very happy if we hired them. All three fell into that category at the end of the screening committee process, and they are definitely all three in that category. It's almost a shame we can only choose one. The other two will get great library director jobs. I'm fully confident about that. So I just wanted to say that that's really important to me that we have three excellent candidates here.
Okay. Does anybody want to make any other comments? Bring anything else up? Because if not, we've all had an opportunity to speak, and I think that I would go with asking if somebody would like to make a motion for who they think we should appoint as library director for the Northborough Library.
If you're looking for a motion, I sort of kept some mental note of those who expressed a preference. That preference seemed to be, at least from 4 or 5 people, for Jennifer Bruno. So based on that, I'll make a motion. Bernie, how should this be hired? Because we're not hiring her with this. I think we're asking John to finalize a contract with her.
Correct.
All right.
You would be appointing her subject to the negotiation of a contract through the town administrator. Yes.
So I will make a motion that we appoint Jennifer Bruno to the position of library director, subject to negotiations with the town administrator.
All right. Do I have a second for that motion?
Second.
Okay. All right, by roll call, all those in favor of selecting Jennifer Bruno as the library director for the Northborough Free Library, please say aye. Mitch Cohen,
Cohen, aye.
Jim Hogan,
Aye.
Nita
Aye.
Karanchkar. Did you
Aye.
say aye? Thank you,
Yes.
sorry. Jocelyn, now I can't say your first name. Jocelyn McElhenney,
Aye.
Charles Recchia,
Charles Recchia, aye.
Joan Scott,
Joan Scott, aye.
Richard Tucker,
Aye.
Michelle Rehill also says aye. That motion carries unanimously to select Jennifer Bruno as the new library director, pending contract agreements with the town administrator or town government. Is that it?
Is it. I will notify the candidates of your selections. Michelle, I might recommend that you reach out to Jennifer as well on behalf of the trustees. And I will notify John of the decision of the board. And we will go from there. Or you will go from there.
We will go from there. All right. This has been a very long process for some of us. I know it's been long and tough for the library staff to go through. I appreciate all the work that you've done. I appreciate the time that you've spent in these meetings, reading resumes, going through the whole process. And if there is no other discussion to be held at this time.
Michelle,
Oh, yes,
I have a question.
Nita. Yep.
Maybe Bernie might answer it well. So we right now said okay to one candidate based on negotiations, correct?
Correct.
What happens if the negotiations doesn't go forward?
We don't even like to think about that.
I know, but just in case, do we have to have a second candidate, like a second
Not at
choice
this
or
time.
not? Okay.
Not at this time. No, we would come back together and make a decision, or you would make a decision from there. But you would
Yeah.
not.
The reason I'm asking, I don't want to go again with the 3 hours.
No. What you would do is
I'm being selfish this time. Sorry about that, but just
no. I think that I think the important thing is, as you went through your comments, I was pleased to hear that you thought that all three were excellent candidates and that all three could do the job. And as someone noted, it's too bad you can't hire all three. I think they all know the support there. But you've made your decision that Jennifer Bruno is your choice, and I'm confident that will be worked out. But I will let all the candidates know, though, that.
thank you.
And we'll be back in touch if needed. But I don't see that as an issue.
I hope not.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. Any other questions or comments?
Just want to thank Bernie for all his assistance and guidance through this process.
Thank you. Brian.
A lot smoother.
Thank you, Bernie.
Pleasure working with all of you. And as I think I indicated, I'm a huge fan of libraries. I can't wait till your library gets open again. And next time I'm driving through Northborough, I will make sure to stop in and see it from the inside, not just from the outside. So.
Yes, it looks even better on the inside.
I'm sure it does. I'm sure it does. All right. Thank you, everyone.
All right. Thank you, everyone. And may I now have a motion to adjourn the
So
meeting?
moved.
All right. And do I have a second? Mitch, was that you? Second?
Yes.
All right. And again, a roll call vote. All those in favor of adjourning the meeting, say aye. Mitch Cohen,
Mitch Cohen, aye.
Jim Hogan,
Jim Hogan, aye.
Nita Karanchkar,
Nita Karanchkar, aye.
Jocelyn McElhenney,
Jocelyn McKelney, aye.
Charles Recchia,
Charles Recchia, aye.
Joan Scott,
Joan Scott, aye.
Richard Tucker,
Rich Tucker, aye.
and Michelle Rehill also says aye. The library trustees meeting is adjourned at